Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, a friend of Sunanda Pushkar's breaks his silence on NDTV, claiming she was taking heavy medication and acting bizarrely in the weeks leading up to her death. As the police get ready to question him, with so many different versions about just what happened, will we ever know the truth about just what happened to Sunanda Pushkar? Also, the Congress has threatened action against senior leader Janardhan Dwivedi for his reported praise of Narendra Modi. Is the split in the Congress now wide open? Is the party a sinking ship? That debate coming up in about 30 minutes from now. But first, many twists and turns in the Sunanda Pushkar murder investigation. The Delhi Police Commissioner has said that the police will be questioning Tej Saraf, the 77-year-old friend of Sunanda's who spoke to NDTV last night and made sensational new claims. Mr. Saraf had hosted Sunanda and Shashi Tharoor at his Goa home for a few days over the last New Year. Mr. Saraf, who's now retired from the corporate world, claims that Sunanda was taking what he called fistful of medicines, including Alprax, and exhibiting what he described as bizarre behavior, such as saying that George Bush and Manmohan Singh would seek her advice. He also says that she fainted twice during that visit to Goa. Mr. Saraf says that Sunanda was distraught one particular day by tweets made by Mr. Subramaniam Swamy about her son being arrested. Here are some key bits from that interview.
Yeah.
When did she tell you this, sir? When did she first tell you that she had lupus?
She told me it was 2 years back, first time. And then my son offered to introduce her to Dr. William Hasentine, who is a world authority on lupus. But she never showed any interest or follow-up.
Why do you think that that was the case? Because as you said, she claimed that she had lupus, but she wasn't interested in speaking to the doctor about it. That's what you're saying? Why do you think that was the case?
I really don't know, but we know this, that she was all the time talking about lupus, and when we offered she did not show any interest.
What happened at your house in Goa, sir? Because she and Shashi Tharoor stayed with you just literally 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks before she died. So what happened at your house?
Yes. Well, she came here on the 28th, which is my wife's birthday, and my son has annually a party on his mother's birthday. She came and attended that, and she stayed with us till the 3rd of January. Shashi joined us on the 31st morning and left on first evening.
And what happened while she was with you? Because you say that she was very disturbed and she was on a lot of medication. What happened at your house?
Well, I was surprised. She was taking fistfuls of medicines. And I told her also that, look, what are these medicines for? She said, I don't sleep very well. And I have not slept for years very well, so I have Alprax, and various painkillers. And we did tell her that, look, this was very dangerous. And what did happen here during her stay here was she fainted twice. Once on the beach and once more on the boat.
What was the third thing that you noticed?
On the 31st evening, Yeah, that is the third thing I noticed was that she was talking contradictory things and bizarre things.
Such as?
She would go so far as to say, George Bush asked me for my advice, and so does Manmohan Singh. And I thought that she had gone round the bend.
Well, you can watch that full interview on NDTV.com, but the question we're asking tonight is that with so many different versions coming out from family, friends and others, important witnesses as well, are we ever really going to get to the bottom of the Sunanda Pushkar murder case? Joining us tonight, we have Subramaniam Swamy here in the studio with us, Nalini Singh, whose own testimony is very crucial in this case since she had spoken to Sunanda literally hours before she died. Sanjay Hegde, senior lawyer, here in the studio with us. Another friend of Sunanda's joins us tonight, Rohit Kochar, he's a lawyer and someone who knew her well for some years, and Mr. KTS Tulsi will also be joining us very shortly. Mr. Swamy, let me get your reaction to this first, because there was also a reference that Mr. Saraf made to you. What do you make of what Mr. Saraf has said? I found, I was a bit surprised because from all the accounts I've heard so far, no one had mentioned this issue about, Sunanda's contradictory statements and her behavior. What did you think?
Well, I think he should have called a doctor. The fact that he didn't call a doctor raises questions about the veracity of his testimony. If he, after all, was a relative, she fainted twice.
A friend, more than a not
all right. Whatever he was, he was close enough for her to come and stay with him, and she faints not once but twice, and no doctor. We have no. There's not a single prescription that has been produced on record, including Mr. Tharoor. He says that he doesn't have it, he doesn't know where it is kept, and so on and so forth. How can all this be credible? You are taking a fistful of medicines of what? Without prescription, how is it possible? Therefore, the police has to subject him to close examination and find out whether he is making it up or he is acting as on behalf of some particular theory.
I do want to clarify here that I did, Nalini Singh, I did ask him whether he had been in touch with Shashi Tharoor at all, whether Shashi Tharoor had asked him to come and speak to us, and he claimed that he has not spoken to Shashi Tharoor since Sunanda died and that they were a friend of Sunanda's and not Shashi's. But Nalini Singh, have you ever heard this account before? Anything about Sunanda's behavior being odd, strange, her being on Alprax and heavy medication even earlier?
Nidhi, I'll stick to what I know, and I think that the gentleman is a very respectable person, but I must tell you that I have absolutely no knowledge of the medication. I have no knowledge of Alprax. She did tell me that she had lupus, that she had 2 years to live is what she thought, but I must tell you, what is appearing to be bizarre, this Dr. Manmohan Singh and George Bush. If you allow me, I'll just recount a very 20-second illustration of how it may not be so bizarre, because there was something at the Hyatt Regency, and we stepped in then to a kind of ante room, and there's a Chinese restaurant, some restaurant next to it. The entrance is the same, and I suddenly saw some elderly lady who I thought I recognized as Mrs. Meno, Sonia Gandhi's mother, respected mother. And then I saw Sonia Gandhi, and then 2 friends whom I don't need to name, and they had come there for a private dinner. So Sunanda was with a bunch of people, including me, and so she said to me, let's go. They settled down, the party of Sonia Gandhi, mother and 2 friends, and she said, let's go and say hi, and I said, I can't do that, I'm not in the Congress party, I don't want to. So she said, well, I'm going to go. And she took another Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress party, I think, and they both went, and now I was observing, and she had a manner of access, and then when she came, she stood a few minutes there. When she came back to this group, I said, wow, that was something, and she said, what is something? And I suddenly recalled another occasion on which she had told me that she sends mails to Rahul Gandhi, and Rahul Gandhi responds more promptly to her than to Shashi Tharoor.
But that doesn't mean George Bush consulted
No,
her.
no. But what I'm saying is
that does sound a bit strange.
No, I'm just saying to you. Certainly, that sounds. But what I'm saying to you is that she seemed to have access, and then after that she can make out that I said something and they listened to me, and therefore I'm advising them. But I did see her the ability, access to the top in the country at that time. And flawless, it was not programmed.
Okay, before I open this up to the rest of the panel, I want to ask Mr. Swami, but on the specific reference that he made to that day when you tweeted, how would you respond to that? Because he says that particular day she was particularly distraught, and she was replying to you on Twitter. She actually really strongly attacked you, I remember, if I'm not mistaken.
Not to me. I mean, not on my Twitter.
Or it was some account that
I didn't even mention her. I didn't even know that it was her son. I said that friends of mine in Dubai told me that Shashi Tharoor had turned up there, and he was actively trying to get his son out of jail, who had been put in because of drug trafficking or whatever, something connected with drugs. And what was he doing there? And why did he have to go there? It was
Mr.
really
Saraf
against
says
her.
that really disturbed her, though.
Well, it just turned out to be her son. It's bound to disturb her. But there was no reference to her in that tweet.
Okay, Mr. Hegde, one thing I do want to state here is that maybe unlike some other news channels, we're not going to be the jury and the judge here, and we don't know what happened, and it is for the police to investigate. But I'm getting a sense of deja vu that this is, going in a way like the Arushi case, where there are lots of theories, the media is speculating a lot, and in a sense, even now with the convictions in the Arushi case, a lot of people feel, do we really know what really happened? Are you fearing that this is going that way?
Yes, I came across a good sentence the other day. You see, in the criminal trial, ultimately there are two competing narratives. Here there is one narrative, the defense narrative as it were, that the woman was ill. She had a condition, lupus, which is difficult to diagnose, and that a cocktail of drugs could have turned fatal. She could have been poisoned. That's one narrative. The other narrative is that she knew something, she was going to reveal it, and to prevent that, she was silenced.
Because she said she was going to reveal something.
So now, which of these narratives is true? Which of these is backed by evidence? And here the law is very simple. It is the prosecution that has to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt. Who provides the material to the prosecution? The investigation. So what we really require is a clean, undisturbed, calm investigation which goes into every fact, rules out every possibility, and then when the investigator is convinced that he has a case to submit to court, if he files a charge sheet, yes.
But
or if he says
messed up so badly, I mean,
yes,
apparently evidence went missing from the room.
Absolutely. That itself is evidence. Evidence going missing from a room is itself evidence.
Yeah, but you see, here there was a time lag of a year.
Exactly.
The time lag of a year could have corroded the evidence, could have destroyed it out of natural causes.
Exactly.
There's so many things which a defense lawyer is bound to exploit if it goes to trial. We are not talking of a trial right now. We are talking of an investigator who has to rule out every possibility, make certain of his hypothesis, and come up with evidence to back it before he can file a charge.
Nalini has a quick point, then I'll come to Rohit and Mr.
Very
KTS
quickly,
Tulsi.
2 points. Without casting aspersions, the police, somehow the officer in charge was the same one who was in the Jessica Lal case, the one who was with the Swiss diplomat rape case,
earlier.
You cast aspersions
I'm saying, and then
okay.
this one. So let us say that, as Mr. Sanjay Hegde is saying, that the evidence at that time. The second thing is, Sunanda told me many times that that the IPL whole controversy, etc., traumatized her mother so much that her mother died because of it. She told me many times this one thing she would repeat, that, do you know, my mother died because of IPL and because of what happened.
Let me just bring Rohit Kochar into this. Rohit, you were also, a friend of Sunanda's. When you hear what Mr. Saraf was saying, did any of it shock you? I mean, did it surprise you? Is this something that you had ever come across in your dealings with Sunanda?
Yes, Nidhi, I have two comments to make. One is factual, picking up from what Mr. Saraf spoke, and the other one is legal, since I'm a practicing lawyer. So on the factual part, yes, Sunanda was close to me, and we spent much time together in 2013, sometimes in the presence of my wife as well. And there was more than one occasion that she mentioned to me unequivocally that she was suffering from lupus, and she said to me that in her opinion she may not live longer than 1 year. Of course, I did not take her seriously back then. I thought she was exaggerating her illness, but she did make a very categoric mention of it. The second fact which I want to add is that on the Alprax bit, yes, she mentioned to me on 3 or 4 occasions in Dubai, because we would spend time together in Dubai as well, off and on, that she was never able to sleep unless she took a strong dose of Alprax. The other piece I would like to add is that she also approached me twice, saying she would like to get a will made because she was uncertain about the longevity of her life and uncertain about the future. So these are facts which, unlike some channels that are speaking based on conjecture and speculation, these are facts not based on hearsay, but which I procured and had access to based on my friendship with late Sunanda.
Okay, well, this is what she told you.
On the legal part, I want to add as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, finish your point.
Yes, so on the legal part, I want to add that I think it's a little premature to suggest that this investigation will end up the Arushi Talwar way, because let's remember, the FIR was registered only barely 2 weeks ago. And before that, the police was waiting for the final report of the medical board of the All India Medical Institute. So in 2 weeks, the Delhi police cannot wave a magic wand and do more than what they have done already. So I think we should be patient, and as Sanjay Hegde said, I agree with him and I endorse his comments. We should allow the investigation to take its own course and not presume that we will not have a logical conclusion in good time.
Okay, but Mr. Swami, again, how does one explain all these contradictions? Because, I don't think you deny if she told Nalini Singh, she told Rohit Kochar, she told Mr. Saraf and many other friends that she had very short time to live, she had lupus. How did that square off?
The question is, in that case, who should produce doctors who gave her that opinion? After all, she was not a doctor, neither Mr. Tharoor was a doctor. So she
tweeted about it herself.
No, tweeting is one thing. Supposing, take an extreme case where 2 doctors come and say, they take a test and say you got lupus. You are bound to think that it is lupus unless you had distrusted the doctor. I would go rather by whether their doctors had given her a prescription, so that the police can ask these doctors. Mr. Tharoor is unable to produce any such evidence. The only thing on which we have a sound medical analysis is that Kerala Institute, which said that she didn't have it.
But why did she? Why do you think she then told all her friends that she did?
Because she was told that she had lupus. By whom? We'd like to know that. That's part of the investigation.
So you believe there's more to it?
I think, therefore, if it is murder, somebody had planned it.
But, she was also, she wouldn't think she was, this is just common sense. KTS Tulsi, I don't know, I don't think she would think she was dying unless she actually felt unwell, or was unwell. I'm just saying that at some level.
I'll tell you one thing, that these are questions where it is not reflected in her behavior.
Yeah.
No, she
In her
was. I remember I ran into her in the temple of Padmarama Swami. I was a guest of the royalty, the Travancore Rajas.
And she was in great spirits.
I was in a special enclosure with the Chief Minister, the DGP of Police. Tharoor came with his wife.
And she was fine.
She was looking, and she was actually cracking jokes. She was very
but actually what
gregarious.
you say, KTS Tulsi, in fact, Mr. Saraf says the same thing. If you look at the entire interview, I actually asked him specifically that, do you believe that given what you're saying about her mental condition as he saw it at that time, do you think that then she was capable of taking her own life? He says, I don't know, because he says there were times when she was so vivacious and she was herself, she looked happy, and at other times she looked distraught. So he doesn't know, he's not speculating on why. So Mr. Tulsi,
so we have to go by the doctor.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we square off? I again come to the question, do you believe we'll get to the bottom of this story at the end of the day? Are you hopeful of an outcome, a fair outcome of this investigation, either way, whichever way?
You see, I don't know, but all that I can say is that as of now, it seems that all the three options are likely. It could be any one of the three options.
Absolutely.
One is suicide, that she administered something to herself. The second is accident, that unintentionally she has taken a drug or a combination of drugs. And the third is murder. All three have got to be investigated by the police without being influenced by political pressures. And in the media, the kind of political pressure that is being brought is unfortunate, and it is completely contrary to the law laid down by the Supreme Court in the Sahara's case. Some of the channels are pronounced demonizing him. This is just not professional journalism.
No,
I would only say
political pressure. I mean,
I would only say that
on
the
what basis do you
statement,
say political pressure, though?
the statement of Mr. Saraf is significant in the sense that this is the meeting which took place for fairly extensive time, that is perhaps 2 days or more, only 2 weeks before her death.
About a week, actually.
So therefore,
she was
what
staying
he
with
is
them for about a
saying,
week.
what he is saying becomes significant. And if it is the truth that she herself told him that she is suffering from lupus for the last 2 years, then she is perhaps either not aware or she is lying about it. And many of the persons who are on drugs, they are known to be lying and concealing the fact that they are on drugs by telling others that, oh, I can't sleep, I am distraught. And this could be play acting on her part. And what is also significant is, with the police, I am sure will take that into account. We are not in a position to arrive at any of these conclusions, but the medical board opinion found ulceration and inflammation in our body. They found cannabinoids. It was positive for cannabinoids. It was positive for ulceration. It was positive for inflammation. So therefore, it only matches up with the statement of Mr. Saraf that she is saying that I have not slept for years, and he says that she was taking fistful of medicines.
But, okay, none of us are doctors, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
pass a
that's right.
judgment. Honestly, I'm not going to pass
How does Mr. Tulsi know that whether these things were administered to her forcibly or that she took it herself?
Or
These are
I'm not
something
even
of the
going to jump to
investigation.
conclusions about what those mean,
That's
because
for the
none of
police
us are
to find
doctors.
out.